Hi, Chris.
What?
I got. Well, that's okay.
I got a cootie.
I gotta speak English first. I want to know something about the
Okay.
RMS Titanic.
Yeah,
What do you know about it?
I know quite a bit. At least I think I know quite a bit.
Holy crap, you know a lot about Titanic, you.
I think I do.
Okay. Tell us what you know.
There's a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, there's a good bit.
A good bit.
Yeah.
So,
She was built in Belfast, Ireland, by the Harland and Wolff shipyard. Maiden voyage was out of Southampton in England for New York. She didn't make it, unfortunately. She hit an iceberg on the starboard side at 11:40 p.m. on Sunday, April 14th, 1912. And officially sank at 2:20 a.m. Monday, April 15th, 1912.
and took almost, it was roughly,
2 hours, 40 minutes to sink.
yeah.
And she broke in half.
And how did it, well, of course, how did it sink?
She hit the iceberg.
I know, it hit the iceberg, but like, while going down, like, in what direction?
She went down by the head.
Went down by the head?
So, meaning she sank bow first.
Oh, down first.
Nose down first.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was, so let's say this is the nose of the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
The front. This is the back. So this is fitting. I'll bring out a marshmallow to be the iceberg. So this is the iceberg. Titanic is sailing along at about 22 knots,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't top speed for the Titanic,
Mm-hmm.
but she's going fast. And oops. Second officer Charles Murdoch. First officer William McMaster Murdoch was on the starboard bridge wing, about here, looking out in front of the Titanic. He had just come on about a half hour before in relief of Second Officer Charles Lightoller to be the officer to watch that night. And up in the crow's nest was Frederick Fleet, as well as the other one. I forget his name at this moment. But the crow's the lookout's job was to look out and to see any potentially injured to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's most likely that First Officer Murdoch saw the iceberg first.
Mm-hmm.
So what he did was he called in hard to starboard, which that command, the White Star Line used the tiller command,
Mm-hmm.
which goes back to when that helmsman had to be in the back of the speedboat, and if you wanted to turn to the left, you would need to bring the tiller hard to starboard. So that's why the order came out hard to starboard, even though when the iceberg was to her starboard side.
Mm-hmm.
Using the tiller command, hard to starboard means turn left. The Titanic's going on. Ding, ding, ding. Frederick Fleet sees the iceberg, rings the bell 3 times to designate warning, picks up the phone that's behind him, which is a direct line to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge, the quartermaster Hitchens, I think it was, picked up the phone on the bridge and said, "What do you see?" Frederick Fleet says, "Iceberg right ahead." And Hitchens, who received the phone call and already knew about the hard to starboard command, said, "Thank you," and hung up the phone. Murdoch orders engines full stop, which was the proper protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Titanic was unwieldy. She was a big ship at 882.5 feet long, so she didn't turn fast. The Titanic is still going. Beginning to turn now. At 11:40 p.m., The Titanic sideswipes the iceberg, rupturing the forepeak, cargo holds number 1 and 2, as well as 3, and boiler room 6, and the coal bunker of boiler room 5. Now, the Titanic was designed to stay afloat with any 4 of the first 5 watertight compartments compromised. Even the first 4. And she was, let me correct that, she was designed to stay afloat with any 4 of her watertight compartments. Any 4 of her 16 compartments compromised. Or even the first 4. The iceberg opened up 6. Titanic is still going, running along the iceberg. The iceberg is popping holes in the side of Titanic, and not carrying gas, popping holes. The rivets are popping out. The iceberg gets to about the bridge wing. Murdoch orders hard to port in an attempt to avoid the iceberg hitting the propellers. Goes along. Murdoch says, close the watertight compartments. Note the time entered in the log. At this point, the Titanic was doomed. She was going to sink no matter what. So, as she was going down by the head, the weight was putting a lot of stress on the hull. Water goes down, the first funnel falls off, goes down. Something within a boiler room explodes. Most likely a boiler explodes. Fire comes shooting out of the second funnel. Second funnel collapses. Titanic arcs up, reaches a maximum point of stress. The Titanic breaks in half. Her bow keeps going down. Stern settles back on even keel for a little bit and then starts going up.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly capsizes over before going down almost vertical. 712 survive. So, like, 1,400 people are killed.
Wow. And what would happen to all the bodies now decomposed?
The bodies with the Titanic?
Yeah.
So the bodies of the people that were still in the Titanic when she went down, they're gone.
They're gone.
Pulverized. They're gone. They were gone when the ship hit the bottom.
Holy shit.
Because of all the pressure. The bodies of those that recovered, some of them were buried at sea, around the wreck site, general area where people thought the wreck site was.
Mm-hmm.
And others were buried in Halifax.
They recovered some bodies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
They recovered a bunch of bodies.
Not all of them, though?
No, nowhere near all of them. But most of them, yes.
Oh, okay. I guess that was a terrible night.
Yeah. And unlike any of the animations or the films that you see of Titanic sinking, those films are way too bright to be accurate to what it was like that night for them. There was no moon, very dim starlight, the water was perfectly flat calm. So it's harder to tell if there was an iceberg ahead without the water breaking at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also a mirage effect that night, which helped obscure the iceberg. So, even if... Because a lot of people say, well, what if the lookouts had the binoculars they were supposed to have? Would they have seen the iceberg in time? No. They still wouldn't have seen the iceberg. Because of that mirage effect. Because the iceberg that the Titanic hit was about 60 feet from water to the top. Because, of course, 90% of an iceberg is below the water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the Titanic hit. The Titanic didn't hit the iceberg proper. the Titanic hit a bit of the iceberg that was sticking out under the waterline.
Oh shit. Wow.
So it was a terrible event, and it's unfortunate because there was another ship very close to the Titanic,
Really?
about 20 miles or so, the SS Californian. And that's a whole entire story for another time. But basically, the Californian's wireless operator had the radio turned off, so he wasn't able to hear the Titanic's distress calls.
Oh, I never knew about that.
Yeah.
I never heard stories about that.
Well, there's an entire controversy and debate on, was that ship that the Titanic saw, was that the Californian, or was it another ship? Because the passengers of Titanic, they say they saw ship's lights on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So was that ship the Californian, or was it another ship? We don't know. We don't know for sure, but we know for sure that the Californian was close to the Titanic when she sank.
Very close, yeah.
And the province we live in has a special connection to the Titanic, because Cape Race, Newfoundland, was one of the first wireless stations to hear the Titanic's distress calls. And that light's so goddamn bright in my eye. My eyes are closed now, and I can still see that light in my eye. Jesus. But yeah, that's where they got some of the first wireless calls from the Titanic, was in Cape Race, Newfoundland.
Okay.